Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome back in this beautiful channel that will take you in this little beautiful voyage to help you learn English better. In our episode for today, which is going to be dedicated to the beginners and intermediate level, probably advanced level, is going to get a bit of information from, especially if they are advanced, coupled with being a teacher, teaching English as a second language. There is a list of verbs. As you know, verbs are the chassis of English language. They are the chassis of the English sentence and structure. If you master the sentence, you need to master the verb. And the key to successful language learning and successful language conversation is to master how to say verbs in the past. It might sound like a very simple approach, but when it comes to real practice, it is going to be very hard. You need to get so much practice to be in the level where you can practice English so much better using the list of verbs that you have. So as an English teacher, I often meet and encounter a lot of students who have difficulty saying a lot of sentences. And when we analyze the problem, we find that the real reason that they don't say the sentence correctly, or they stutter, they hesitate, they end up not being able to say the sentence correctly, it's simply because they don't remember how to say the verb in the past. Usually, and the most problematic issue with English language is that most of the most common list of verbs in English are the most irregular ones. By irregular means the verbs that are not conjugated, or they are not used in the past form by adding the ed part. No, the inflection takes another take where we have to change the structure or the morphology of or we have to change the morphology of the verb to make it or render it look a little bit different, like understand, understood, drive, drove, read, read. So these are phonetic and morphological structure differences and variations that often lead students to be unable to say the sentence correctly in English. Out of all of the list of verbs that we have here, this is the most common list that I've taken notes of over the past few years. And this is a very simplistic list of exercises to help you master how to say these verbs. So stay tuned. The list that we have here for today is break, draw, fall, go, have, hit, read, and win. This is the most confusing list of verbs that I've come across, especially talking from the perspective of an Iraqi English teacher teaching English in Iraq. So probably this is not generalizable to whole globe. It is only specifically related to the Iraqi context here. So let's take a few examples here of these verbs by asking a question in the past. How do you ask a question in the past? Let's find out. When you were a child, did you, and we have the list of verbs here, off your bike? So that's the first example that we have here. Which verb should we use? Let's get back to the question. When you were a child, did you off your bike? Should we use break, draw, fall, go, have, hit, read, and win? You probably guessed that out from the time that you're given here. So the right verb that we have here is fall. So when you were a child, did you fall off your bike? In order to answer that question, you have to say, I fell off my bike. I fell off my bike. So the way we say this verb in the past is to change fall to fell. Just remember, like the way we say full in Arabic, and you have to add the lower diacritic here. So we say full fell, full fell, full fell. That's how you can remember how to say this verb particularly. The second sentence that we have is, when you were a child, did you comic books? And we have the list: break, draw, fall, go, have, hit, read, and win. And of course, you probably guessed that because it's a very simple one. It's read. But the catch here is you have to change the sound of the verb. So you say, I read comic books when I was a child. I read comic books. So instead of saying read, you have to change the sound to make it look like the color red. So I read list of comic books. When you were a child, did you lots of pictures? Break, draw, fall, go, have, hit, read, and win. Again, you probably guessed that, and it's draw. Draw a lot of pictures. I draw a lot of pictures. Now, and in the past, I drew. Like when you say Drew Barrymore, the famous American actress. I drew a lot of pictures. Camping with your family. So when you were a child, did you camping with your family? And again, the list is break, draw, fall, go, have, hit, read, and win. And of course, the answer is tan taran taran, go. Did you go? So I went. So you have to say, I went camping with my family. I went camping with my family. The next question is, when you were a child, did you a sports competition? And the list of verbs here is break, draw, fall, go, have, hit, read, and win. So probably the guest answer is have. Did you have a sports competition? I had a sports competition. The next question is a bone. So when you were a child, did you break, draw, fall, go, have, hit, read, and win? You may notice here that the context may determine the changing or alternation of one verb and choosing another one. So it depends on the suitability of the context here, especially if you're an English teacher and you're assigning this exercise to students. You need to contextualize. You need to add a little bit of introduction to the kind of meaning here, not literally translating that into Arabic. You have to have them do it, to experience probably the translation or getting to the point of meaning by drawing, helping them drawing something, or helping them understanding by doing a little bit of role playing or something like that. It's a little list of verbs, so probably taking a step-by-step process is going to be very beneficial to the students. And the answer is bone. Break a bone. Did you break a bone? I broke a bone when I was a child. I broke a bone. It's my little finger bone. When you were a child, did you, your brother or sister? So probably the right answer to that is hit. Did you hit? And the answer is I hit my little brother or sister. Of course, we're always fighting with each other. The next and last question is a favorite toy. A favorite toy. So when you were a child, did you probably have a favorite toy? Have a favorite toy. Now, if you remember that I mentioned one of these questions may accept more than one answer. So if we go back to the question of competition, we can use the word win. We can use the word have, especially if we're talking about sports, whether you're participating or you're winning. There is a little bit of assumption here, and it depends on the context. So as a teacher, as long as the students understand the meaning, as long as the students have an idea about the examples that you're presenting here, there is no harm if you let them be flexibly choosing more than one option as correct ones. Because the idea is not to say you're wrong and I'm right. The idea is to have them understand the purposefulness of this exercise to help them master English better. That was a quick, probably tip to teachers to help them introduce this kind of exercises to students, and it's also geared to the lower beginners and intermediate level students to have them memorize this list of verbs because they are very useful, quite common, and when they use them in daily communication, it is going to make their language sound so much better. Have a wonderful day. مدرب اللغة وليد خالد.